My name is Ariane Telgen. I have worked for over 20 years with problem horses of all kinds, and another focus of mine is training for riders and horses. Here I support riders with competitive ambitions up to the advanced level, as well as recreational riders in maintaining health and calmness. Through my many years of experience as a recognized equine physiotherapist and osteopath, I am in an optimal position to identify and solve problems on various levels. To make this possible, even over long distances, I offer online consultations or online support. This is a successful alternative to an in-person visit here at the farm or admitting your horse as an inpatient. We have new visitors again. This is Darlene with her owner. As I could already find out, she has had Darlene for 2 years and some problems have now arisen. But I believe you can best explain yourself why you are here.
Yes, so for about 7 or 8 weeks, yes, we've gradually developed riding issues. In other words, she's very high in contact, gets very tense or grabs onto the reins a lot. And yes, it has crept in over weeks now, and at the moment nothing is working anymore, which is why I approached Ariane. I hope she can help us.
I have also just noticed that she reacts very strongly to sounds or is very, very jumpy. Is it like that at home too, or is it just because it's new here?
At home too, although we're just at home, and there she's also very
on fire, I would say. Very good.
So yes. She sees ghosts somewhere, and what does she do then? Does she get angry, bolt, rear up, or is she still controllable?
She can always be controlled. She then gets extremely fixated on that spot. Even when you turn away and ride towards that spot, she wants to stop there or bolt past. Okay. But by now I have it well under control. That's just how she is. I think that's her character. And
what is the wish? What do you want to do with her? Is it in the leisure sector? Where do you want to go with her?
Dressage, preferably towards L.
Okay.
I would like to establish myself in L dressage.
And was she also sold as a sport horse and trained?
Yes. So she ran for 1 season as a 4-year-old and was placed in dressage and show jumping classes. And then then she went into breeding, had 3 foals, and I basically bought her from the pasture. She had been under saddle again for 2 weeks. Then I tried her out and thought she might have potential, so we've worked her up a bit now. I take a lot of lessons.
And want to go a bit towards L with her.
Is there a moment when it changed, or did it really come gradually with no apparent reason?
I can imagine. So she fell in the stable aisle about 7-8 weeks ago, and then it got worse. And I can imagine that it is related to something happening in the neck or something.
Okay. Yes. Before everything was more or less running smoothly? Yes, great. Okay, then let's take a look. It's best if you take her out. Then she's used to being tied on the left and right. That way you have both hands free and she can show a bit. What I really like to do when it's possible, though it's not always the case because usually the stalls are occupied too, it always helps the horses a lot when they come off the trailer and can really acclimatize first. Can eat a little, can drink a little, then they are already a bit more relaxed, and you can see that quite clearly with her here now, right? So when she was led in, she was a bit more spirited.
Yes.
So I suppose nothing on the toes, because I already found out during the preliminary talk that a dental practitioner was involved, whom I know very well. So I'm not expecting any nasty surprises there. It's not like that on this side either, right? You're doing great. Excellent. South. How old is Darlene now?
10.
10 years old. Best age. Since the fall, is there any sensitivity when bridling or any noticeable issues at the top of the neck? Fine. Yes. That's nice. That's fine. So, how does this riding session work in itself? How is the walking? How does it start? Is she more relaxed and walks nicely, or is she more tense with a long rein?
So while walking, she is super relaxed, engages well, and strides too. I already incorporate a bit of leg yielding and shoulder in. Then I trot. Try to ride the forward downward, align and bend nicely, many changes of hand. And then everything is fine, but as soon as you take something lightly, then it starts, it settles at the top and stays there, right? So
Yes, is one side worse?
It's worse on the left.
The left is our right side, yes.
at the moment, I think it was better before.
Yes. Southwell, I look first and then I always like to let people feel for themselves. Great, you're doing that really well. Yes, I won't hurt you, don't panic. In the meantime, has an osteopath physiotherapist worked on her or?
I have it done once a year, and if needed, the last time was in August last year.
Okay, all good. Fine, look, great, you can do it. Is all. Yes, it's all good. Yes, great, excellent, good. So come here, can I bribe you? Are there differences between easy trotting and sitting trot in terms of elasticity?
Yes, so even if I trot lightly, she becomes firm as soon as I take up the reins a little more, which isn't much in our area. She doesn't like to approach this as she usually does. I just can't get her to relax. I can then ride as I want, so to speak, but I can't get her to relax.
Okay, that's fine now, what you're watching there. Nothing's happening, right? Is that just a coincidence or does she always stand like that?
She has slightly long teeth. Yeah.
All right. You could maybe do that. That's why I'm asking before we record something that's just a moment right now.
No, she hasn't.
Well, the teeth are already, from what I can feel, really nice and round in the front like a baby's bottom. I also don't suspect, as I said, that there's something up there because I know the practitioner who was involved too well for that is straight. At least the occipital bones at the top. I'll show that in a moment because then if you have a good feeling, you can check it yourself from time to time. Is it already twisted? You already know you should have someone come again? Or the exercises that we will do right away, they always help for it to maybe go back on its own. Yes, it is creepy back there. What you can clearly see now is if you take a look at the hooves or the leg position, that it's really turned a bit inward in the front. Now it's more on the right side. Earlier it was more on the left. I think you can say better in everyday language which side is turned inward. This is, of course, another indication of which hand a horse runs better or worse on. It's just the natural crookedness. At the back, she is also turned outwards. Let's take a look. Here are the little bones of the shoulder joint. You can feel them quite well. Then I place my hands on them and check if they are level. And there you can already see a difference. One is lower than the other. That means she is basically in the front in this position. The left is higher than the right, and I somehow remembered the left as the worse side, where she runs worse. Earlier, the left leg was the one that turned more inward. I don't know if that's always the case because right now it's the right leg. This is an insight for me. She is harder to ride on the left side. Her front leg also increasingly turns inward. This means she will always tend to move with her front on the right because simply the left leg already shows this track. It's really difficult when you're in such a position to go in that direction, you know? So you just have to do a lot of exercising. The shoulder is also higher on the left than on the right. This means the shoulder blade is likely also higher, and therefore moving around to the left is naturally less flexible, unlike when a shoulder blade has a lot of space upwards and downwards. Let's have a look. So show me the corners of your mouth. I also like to feel into the corners of the mouth. You can feel wonderfully whether there is more callus in one corner or if one is firmer. That always gives a lot of information, but I can't notice any differences here. Seems to be a very sensitive hand. Where I'm quite curious right now is with the saddle, because when you look up from a bit of a slant below, you can already see where, for example, there are dents on the sides of the spine. Just stand there and look diagonally upwards to see where the dents are. Sometimes you need to step back a bit. Sometimes you need to get a bit closer, but you can clearly see that there are some dents going down somewhere. And also look from the other side. So when you now look at it from a diagonal angle and follow the horse's shimmer, I see that right in this area here, it kind of dips down. That is on the left side. Dollar, in my opinion. Now I'm really curious to see what the saddle will say. But you also mentioned she had a different saddle on before. That could also be where it's coming from if this one is good now. That's fine. Do I need to be prepared for anything with her, like if she hits or something? You never know, right? But when you do know, did she fall straight down forward and then onto her legs, or did she fall sideways?
The first time her front leg slipped away and she basically fell on her mouth. I just turned her because it was a bit narrower there and then she slipped away from me.
And was there a reason? What scared her?
It wasn't a fright, it just slipped away.
Oh, I see, okay.
I lead her very slowly over the steel alley because it's partly very slippery and she has horseshoes. They might have also been worn out because they were on for 5 weeks already. Yeah, I led very slowly and she slipped away from me there.
Okay, that's obviously intense. That obviously went really unfortunately. That's nice. You're doing great. Look, now I'm coming behind you. Don't worry, I won't hurt you. So. It's good that the croup has no height difference at all. So both sides are the same. We'll switch in a moment as well, and both parts are nicely rounded at the top. However, what stands out is that the left croup, that is the entire left buttock, is shorter than the other one. The other one is visually much more pronounced to the right, and the left one is also beautiful at the top, but much shorter in itself. Does it also go off-road sometimes? How is it there? Is it also skittish there?
Sometimes this way, sometimes that way. Well, she's always well behaved, but she also likes to take a look. A little bit on fire, I'll say.
What type of lessons do you take? Dressage?
Yes, exactly.
I jumped her last year in the eye section. She did very, very well. However, I currently don't have a jumping saddle, so that's not happening at the moment. But we go out into the countryside a lot. I'm setting up cavalettis. I do add variety with her, or sometimes we're at the riding club.
A lot of horses have this. This means she tries to compensate everything with her left front leg and moves forward with it. If this leg is now turned to the right, she will tend to always run in a rightward curve. At the back right, on the other hand, it is strongly turned outwards. This means that it also runs this right curve. And that's why it's much easier for her to run to the right, the way her hooves are positioned, from the anamnesis, based on what you say, even when sitting or when there is more momentum. Step is indeed without momentum. And when it's fixed at the top, it's a sign of a tense top line, which also means the back is tense. If I manage to relax the back during riding up here by having the abdominal muscles push it up, I have a relaxed back and also a relaxed neck. And of course also a relaxed swinging tail, which perhaps doesn't go up steeply or get tucked in.
In general, by the end of the lesson, I get her to really swing. She takes a moment, but then she steps under properly. That's what we want. And the moments when she started earlier have become more frequent. And since then, crash or something, I just associate it because I can't explain it otherwise.
Just firm, but I can't get her to relax.
And we're both not enjoying it right now. That's not right either.
No. But what is completely correct is that you just look for help and don't try to fix it yourself or ignore it. Many people choose the path, which is now common, of saying, oh man, she's just fooling you. You just have to hit her hard if she doesn't want to walk.
I've known her for 2 years now, and of course you still have to assert yourself with her. When she tests you, that's also normal. But I handle that well, and
This isn't just an act now. I think it's something physical. I can't explain it any other way. She's not usually this dumb.
Was the saddle just bought as is, or was it adjusted?
that's how I bought it. It's very narrow, but it has a really wide shoulder. Actually, it has a very large chamber width.
It's slightly lowest towards the back, and the center of gravity needs to be in the middle.
So here in the front of the chamber, I find it very good because it's really not too tight, since she is not a giant horse, but she does have quite a bit of muscle. And what I find very positive now is you often have horses that really have these hollows here because the saddle just pulls in at the front and these muscles can't develop at all. She has it very nicely here, so she really doesn't have these hollows.
That's already nice.
I would say I'll take over right away, and we've already clarified this up front here, that you use your fingers right away. You may have already seen this in one or the other video, where there is a lot of pressure, where there is very little pressure. And calmly go as far forward with the fingers as possible. You can't reach all the way to the front. And just store a bit. How is it on one side? How is it on the other side? Where could I just slide my hand underneath? Where is there no pressure and where is the main load?
I know that it slightly goes backward because that's her saddle position. This is the case with every saddle, by the way. That's why I have this gel pad. It's already right here, I would say.
And place it again where you usually place it and see from when the saddle starts to go back.
I would saddle up here.
So, and now go through it again and then see where you pulled the saddle backward.
So already quite far forward here.
Very far in the front already, and in the back even more. That's why I said she doesn't have any sway back yet. Now, the other side, that's actually something different.
I almost see it centered.
And at the back, I find it becomes even more. Well, it already starts properly in the middle.
Where it tilts slightly backward due to her saddle position, that's where I currently have the pressure.
And is it more on the left side or is it more on the right? Where I sometimes compare sides.
I think there is more here. I have to once
Yes.
again, you might have a feeling for it.
It helps because if you are forced to get something again, you can already feel it yourself. Left is always left is more, much more. Which side is more difficult? Left.
So it presses in on the left.
And as you have already said, it is not quite level. That is why you put a pad underneath it to raise the back. Logically, that is completely fine and correct. On second thought, you have to consider that when this saddle is on her, it is a bit too tight. It puts a lot of pressure. If I put on riding pants now, they're so tight that they press against my bones.
I would never wear them again.
One time that, but if I then put on leggings underneath to pad the too tight pants, will the pants get tighter or will they become more comfortable and looser?
Logical.
But that is very common with saddles. I often experience that people say, yes, but even my saddle fitter said I should first pad it in the front so that there is no pressure and the muscle can grow. This is unfortunately quite common, this phenomenon. But when you think about it, it's actually the other way around. And if you put that underneath now, it is higher at the back. It does raise the saddle though.
But the pressure remains the same.
But it doubles downward because there's already pressure downward. If we add something underneath, the pressure will only increase.
Yes, now I understand, yes.
That's a very nice saddle. It's also super comfortable to sit on. I know that, yes?
Yes, it's great, yes.
When joints are blocked, blocked does not mean dislocated. That's always this nice term. Blocked basically just means there is no normal movement. Upwards, downwards, or to the side is possible. And due to some situation, like being startled or, for example, her falling down, the muscles cramp together and it can happen that parts of a joint do not return. they just stay in this tense position, and it's basically a blockage. That's how I would describe it. And of course, you can reset it by what is called popping it back in place. But since nothing can be dislocated, nothing can be set right, but that is how we describe it colloquially. Therefore, of course, many practitioners do it with a sudden jerk. Personally, I really only do that in very acute cases. Example, the horse jumped to the side and I will be called right afterwards, or they will come immediately afterward. Then I can manipulate it back. However, if this has developed over a long period of time, you can do this better via the muscles. Because if I bring it back now, then it takes a step, and this well-developed musculature, which has held it this way for a long time,
Pull it back again.
Exactly. It moves back immediately. That's why I prefer to show exercises that help loosen all the surrounding tissue so that the vertebra can naturally return during work. It is much gentler, and of course you get a lot more done at once. It's not as spectacular as when you do it quickly.
But it's sustainable. And
now for the back, as I said, this is just the beginning. This is not yet a sway back or anything, but you can see that it bends more here. These are oblique abdominal muscles, straight abdominal muscles. These are the painful sit-ups for us when you do them in larger sequences, one after the other. But what I also do, for her, just the fingers are enough, is really that I walk along down here. They will do everything themselves in a moment, and then I can really look. Now I have brought the area up. Now I wander a little further back with my hand. And look, what can I do here? There, now I bend it up here. You have to see how much pressure you need for it to come up. It only goes up to here because further back is uncomfortable for her. We'll do that from somewhere else then. And you can just, I do it from time to time, and I also do it when the saddle is on, so that the horses can easily feel when the saddle fits. They can touch the knee rolls up there, and the saddle doesn't press against it at all. When you sit on it, there's even more weight on top, and that helps many horses. And I just bring them up here. And I can also overcorrect it and then leave it for the whole moment, just so the capsules and ligaments and everything else connected to the vertebrae have time to stretch. If I do it only once, it goes up once and then it's gone again. I will show you that right after a few more exercises. And the same thing, because I can only reach the end of the seat surface, I do here at the back as well. Oh, that's not acceptable for her. So if the saddle permanently presses back here, it affects the hindquarters. The momentum from the hindquarters reaches up to here, and then it doesn't continue. No transition to riding. Exactly. When I try to straighten her out here, she is actually very refined. As I noticed, I certainly don't want her to hit me. So these points, they're looking for them right away, right? It's not that hard. And then please feel up here as well. There is an incredible amount of tension here. It's not wobbly and soft at all, but full of tension, which really is like a chain reaction on this saddle in the back. I'll do it again. Of course, that's also the case for broodmares. When they've had a foal one after the other for 2 or 3 years, they naturally have a belly hanging there, and it always pulls everything into the sway back here at the back. So from that perspective, it's an exercise I would do a bit more often. Also calmly, when the saddle is on later, before mounting, however, Really extend back here and under the belly.
How often? Once, twice, or more often?
These are reflexes that you can't do 5 or 6 times directly in a row. But what I do is sneak in carefully. I start with just a little movement. At some point it will work, that I only demand up to there. Next time I'll do it a bit stronger, exactly, and then once, so that it goes all the way to the front. You can see it quite well because you still need a lot of pressure. This will change when the movement is free.
A lot can be done wrong with that.
Not really. You might make a mistake if you quickly make a cut with the sharp object in passing instead of building it up slowly. Small ligaments in there can tear. But not if you do it carefully at first and then more at the end. It's just the shock like the ones known from other TV channels. Just do it quickly with some object on the cold horse. That's not so good. Otherwise, try it at home. You'll find the points.
Oh God, I don't think anything is happening right now. I hope that he runs there. First, you have to get a feel for how hard I need to do it.
But with our finger, there is nothing to be done with her. Calmly, once again, she's doing really great with it. Always slowly and keep watching. The less pressure I need, the better it is. Push to the left and to the right. But she braces in advance when I want to do it. She braces against it already. So she kind of wants this area here. She's first like, no, I won't do it. For a treat. Oh, that's why I can definitely imagine that riding is really something we can relatively easily fix in training, because she just has to realize that it's not a big deal. That's fine.
That high? I didn't get that high.
When they sway back and forth up there, it's not a sign that they want to leave, but rather they don't have any load, no tension anymore, because I'm basically removing the tension from the long neck strap, and now they can move freely. And actually, they are moving in the direction where they need it.
Where it's comfortable, right? If the first animals have fallen now, well, I don't find it funny at all.
How about just putting pins under the iron? Then you won't have any problems. You can gallop in the stable aisle and nothing will happen.
Is that very expensive or?
No, I think Whittier, the driving horses, have those because they walk a lot on asphalt. Those are, I think it's titanium. I'm not exactly sure. They are just 2 small little nubs, one at the front of the shoe and one at the back. And they really go in the small holes from the asphalt and from the bricks and stuff. And with that, there is no more slipping. I would just do it if that's really such a problem there.
But I don't want to have it again, because what happens next time
I
then?
think the farrier is due soon anyway, the tension. I believe such a locking pin costs €2.50 and they can be used multiple times. There are 4 pieces in each shoe, and you actually take them out next time and put them back in the new one. That means you don't have to do it every time. They really last forever. And then the topic of the stable aisle is done.
I would really prefer it, to be honest, because the last time she fell so badly that her teeth could have been knocked out.
The only thing, which probably I'm not a blacksmith, but I know that Google has the same issue, just that it's very narrow but also very flat. And our blacksmith is, for example, such that he really has the toes at the front, removes more, also pushes the irons further back, so that the rolling mechanism becomes easier. Yes, Dalina's check is complete. We found a few minor things, but there are really no big issues. I think it's just a bit of groundwork that you have to do. The saddle did not fit, although it was not quite cheap. But I think that was also quite obvious and you could feel it yourself. Something needs to be changed there. Teeth are perfectly fine. I would have been surprised if that wasn't the case. There is an extreme misalignment present in Dalina, which is clearly visible in the hoof positioning and also, of course, from the story. As far as riding is concerned, the whole thing was reinforced. And I have now shown a few exercises for the back because, of course, the background as a broodmare also plays a role as it leads to a sway back. They tend to have a sway back, as it's called in humans. And she really had severe problems with the arching. So we put together a small training program for home. And my recommendation would be to meet again for riding, to solidify the basics, to get an understanding of it, and then I would try to convey it in such a way that you can continue working on it well at home. Was everything clear to you?
Yes, great. I do the exercises at home, you'll manage them well, and with the saddle we'll tackle that first as well.
I got this feeling I can't describe, this magic in the air, the world has come alive. And when I see you, you make my pulse rise. I never knew that